Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to Development Hell Podcast with Alex, Matt, and myself. Here to talk about some movies and if we're going to greenlight them or send them back to Development Hell. And then we're going to be trying to talk a little bit about some directors who we think are underappreciated and deserve to have some more attention on them. But it's been a little while since we've had, I guess about a month since we've had like a normal episode of this. Last time we had our movie club with Morris Peros, and next time we're going to be talking about The Graduate. So we're going to find out next episode if Benjamin Braddock is going to be going to Applebee's with Matt. But this time we're going to be talking about it's a sneak peek. So you'll have to tune in a couple of weeks to find out why. Perfect setup for our next episode. But to get to some of our coming attractions, we have some silly ones, or at least I think they're silly. So our first one is The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which is coming out Wednesday, June 16th in theaters. And this is a sequel to The Hitman's Bodyguard, where a hitman, Samuel L. Jackson, needs a bodyguard hired for him, Ryan Reynolds. But this time around, it's Samuel L. Jackson's wife, Salma Hayek, who needs the bodyguard. And throw in a villain in Antonio Banderas, Morgan Freeman, Richard E. Grant, Frank Grillo, and a whole bunch of other people, because you do well with one movie, then you just get a whole bunch of other people thrown in. So the first movie was a silly action movie. And, it's Samuel L. Jackson, Ryan Reynolds. So, Alex, are you greenlighting The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard?
I didn't see the first one, but I'm only going to greenlight it because of the talent involved. Correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like the type of thing you need to go in with saying, okay, we're going to have fun with this. This isn't going to be something serious,
Definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like it might have that flair of like a Shane Black sort of a deal. Is it in that realm?
So in general, kind of yes. I wouldn't go as far to say that it definitely feels like a Shane Black movie. I would like it more if it did, because I did see the first one. Like if Shane Black made the first one, it would have been such a better movie. But it has its moments. It has its charm. You're there because Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson, to be honest. And now you have Salma Hayek, who had she had a glorified cameo in the first movie. So this time around, get a lot more her apparently. And then Antonio Banderas, who I'm always a huge fan of. So that's always a big positive for me. So yeah, and Matt motioned probably would be better with alcohol. So give that Jeremy Johns stamp of approval.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
So I guess the three beers in, we're greenlighting The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Morgan Freeman is going to be in it too. Actually,
I said Morgan Freeman, right?
You said more. Oh, maybe I don't know. But Morgan Freeman, even if you did say it, he deserves to be said twice. Even
There you go.
A bad movie. But no, I mean, I'll greenlight it for anybody else. But I'm not gonna. I didn't really watch the first one. I saw clips online. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But it's I don't know. It wasn't for me. So I mean, I'll greenlight it. It looks funny. The trailers look nice, and then it'll disappear from my memory in 6 months.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. The only thing I'll add to that is, if you guys are saying the first one sounds like you're saying it was kind of forgettable, why are they making a second one? And that would be something you would want to send back to Development Hell.
Well, it's one of those things where it's it made enough money in late summer that it's this was supposed to come out again in late summer. This was supposed to come out last August, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
And they're just kind of you know what? Nothing else is out. So let's drop it in June.
Mm-hmm.
Except they're dropping it a week and a half before a Fast and Furious movie. So
I see.
Which we'll be talking about in a second. If I were going to greenlight this based off of the quality of the film, probably would not greenlight this. But knowing that this is probably just going to be a bunch of dumb fun, and I'll probably have some dumb fun for an hour and 39 minutes, sure, why not?
Right.
So that's a very soft green light here from us at Development Hell Podcast. Also with a stamp of maybe get drunk first. Now we're
I
gonna
enjoyed that way too much. I'm sorry.
now we got
This is water. This is water.
Yeah, exactly.
so June 18th, we have Fatherhood coming to Netflix. A father brings up his baby girl as a single dad after the unexpected death of his wife, who died a day after their daughter's birth. And this is a dramedy starring Kevin Hart, and he's raising a baby. So are we going to greenlight this Netflix film about Kevin Hart raising a baby?
I wish it was like so serious, but I wish like the trailers would make it funny, but then people watch it, it's like, oh, it's like Pieces of a Woman. Like, oh wow, this is like
no.
No, that's sad. That's sad.
Like I also see like Lil Rel Howery and Alfre Woodard are also in it as like some supporting cast here. But so Alex, are you greenlighting Fatherhood?
Who it's called Fatherhood. Who dies after his daughter's born?
The wife.
His mom?
My attention.
Wife. Oh,
No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Who'd you say?
I said my attention. I'm just kidding. It might be a really cool movie.
I know. I'm hesitant because it sounds like Kevin Hart's trying to edge his way out of the dumb comedies that he typically does,
where he just screams.
Yeah.
So this is also directed by the guy who directed the first American Pie, Down to Earth, About a Boy with Hugh Grant.
Oh wow.
And like a little Nicholas Hoult, In Good Company, and Cirque du Freak, the Vampire's Assistant. Oh, and Little Fockers. So there we go.
Okay. I mean, that's up and down. That's an up and down filmography there. So I don't know. I'm gonna give a yellow light over here.
How about you, Matt? What are your thoughts on Fatherhood?
Yeah, same. I mean, he makes good. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I like a lot of Kevin Hart's content, but I don't know. He's. It kind of. I feel like some actors, they kind of like, or just like just people in general, like entertainer or whatever, like they'll kind of like have like this moment where it's kind of like, oh wow, like I'm seeing you a lot. Like Ryan Reynolds was kind of like that. I feel like the pandemic kind of put a punctuation mark in between like a lot of his stuff, because it was like 6 Underground, and it was like the Deadpool 2, and it was the other movie, and then like
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, it was like boom, boom, boom. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, hopefully this movie's good. We had like a little break from Kevin Hart, so yeah,
I was gonna go straight. I'm sending this back, but you know, I'm gonna be a little bit nicer on this one after hearing both of you. So like this, it's like, here's the thing. I like Kevin Hart when he's paired with somebody more than when he's just the lead in a movie. So like I enjoy his stuff with The Rock. Like him and Dwayne Johnson, I think play off of each other well. And like I'm looking forward to a second Hobbs and Shaw when they make Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart part of the actual team instead of like extended cameos. Mm-hmm. But like I enjoyed The Upside with Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston. Like it's a remake of like a great French film, but like the movie wasn't great, but I enjoyed the two of them in it. So I'm like, I look forward, like if this is more him being a little bit more serious and also funny, I'm happy with that. If this is just him being like, what he does in a lot of his stuff, I'm like, no, thank you.
Can you do that again, please?
There you go.
YouTube, what I need you to do, I need you to make that a meme. ASAP.
There you go. Thanks, Matt. So we yellow lighted Fatherhood, and the last film coming out June 18th, that's one of the big releases, is straight to Disney Plus, is Pixar's Luca. And this is on the Italian Riviera. An unlikely but strong friendship grows between a human being and a sea monster disguised as a human. And these two kids are voiced by Jacob Tremblay and Jack Dylan Grazer. We also have Maya Rudolph and a bunch of Italian people. Directed by Enrico Casarosa. So we got Pixar. Pixar again getting the straight to Disney Plus with no premium access. This isn't one of those like you have to pay $30.
Wow.
Watch it. This is just on Disney Plus like Soul was. So
Yeah.
Alex, are you greenlighting Luca?
I'm probably not going to watch it, but I'll greenlight it only because it does look good. It actually looks like a fun movie. And it looks really cool. It looks cute. I probably won't watch it. I probably watch it with a group of people though, but I'm probably not going to watch it from my own place.
That is fair. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not watching it. I mean, but it looks cool. I didn't even know that Jacob Tremblay was in that, and Jacob Tremblay is like really awesome. Like, if you make a list of like really cool child actors that don't seem to be burning out, like he's what happened?
We got our idea for next show.
Oh yeah. Child
actors.
Child actor
not burnt out.
So child actor success stories. Christian Bale. There you go.
Yeah, actually.
Wow. Holy crap.
So I'm the only one who's going to be watching Luca. I will be watching this on Friday, the 18th, when this comes out. I'm a huge Pixar fan. I'm a huge animation fan. And not gonna lie, this taking place in Italy also kind of piqued my interest a little bit more, because the Italian American in me is like Italian people. And it's funny. I have to make this joke, but like Luca turning into like a like dealing with a fish person, and all I could think of is Luca Brasi's sleeping with the fishes.
Oh, geez.
So either that was on purpose or they didn't think that through. But like, this looks really cute. From the reactions I've been hearing, is this is like lower end, just more fun Pixar, like A Bug's Life. Kind of just like a fun, enjoyable Pixar movie. This isn't going to like devastate you emotionally like the first 10 minutes of Up. So it's leaning more towards that, and I'm fine with that. And it looks like a cute, fun movie. I'm definitely greenlighting it. And yes, also along with Jacob Tremblay, Jack Dylan Grazer, who's been in, he was in Shazam. He was the Eddie in It. And then he was just recently in Luca Guadagnino's series, We Are Who We Are, which was really great on HBO. So, like, he's really talented. So I'm definitely going to greenlight this one.
I wonder if he's related to Brian Grazer, the producer, the Hollywood producer.
You know what? You put it that way, wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Also, I lied. I have one other one that I want to bring up from June 18th. This isn't like a big release, but I really want this to get more attention because I actually screened this one. So I'm not going to say if I'm going to greenlight or send this back. This is the new documentary, The Sparks Brothers. And this is a documentary directed by Edgar Wright, who's directing his first ever documentary. And the tagline of this documentary is Sparks, everyone's favorite band's favorite band. So, like, just imagine a documentary about Rush, except even more hipster than Rush. It is apparently the band Sparks. And I was interested, Alex, have you ever heard of Sparks?
No, I haven't.
So I don't know if either of you are interested in watching that, but you all should go watch The Sparks Brothers because it's an Edgar Wright documentary. So he directed this. You even get a little bit of Edgar Wright, and there's so many famous people giving perspective of this, and it made me want to go listen to all of Sparks' music.
Damn.
So
Cool.
that was more of like a
75.
88, like 85. I would like there's a lot of personality in it, because the thing is, it's an Edgar Wright movie, so there's tons of personality. it is, when you really take down the structure of it, it's a pretty by the numbers music biopic. It goes from start to finish. Like, this is like their whole entire story kind of thing. But it's so much fun to watch. It is 2 hours and like 20 minutes, this documentary. And I was never bored once watching that movie. I really enjoyed it.
But I was doing this for the music. Like, when you checked out their music, did you like it, or like, what was your personal take?
They're so progressive. Like, they're the kind of band that it's like every album sounds completely different, and it's really interesting. So they have like 30 albums. Apparently they're ridiculously popular in the UK. Okay. So like, that's why Edgar Wright made this. Edgar Wright's like, I love Spox, and like makes a documentary about it, and it's a lot of fun. So, and both of them have a lot of personality, and they're in the documentary because like he made this with them.
Yeah.
So
I gotta check that out. Totally. Yeah, that's cool.
Now shifting gears to June 25th, F9. So we got the 9th Fast and Furious movie. John Cena, out of nowhere, is introduced as Dom Toretto's brother, who apparently is like this world-renowned spy who like looks like a pro wrestler, because you know most spies look like giant pro wrestlers. And sorry, I'm gonna stop. So it's the 9th Fast and Furious movie. They're bringing back Han and the guy from Tokyo Drift, and basically everybody's in this except for The Rock and Jason Statham. And it's for family again, and you know, it looks like they go into space a little bit. So Alex, are you greenlighting Fast 9? And there he goes.
The part about space, man. I think I saw that in the trailer. Come on, man.
You saw the whole movie in the trailer, because the trailer's like 4 minutes.
Come on, man.
There's no need to make trailers 4 minutes. Like, I can understand if they're showing like a scene for like 4 minutes, but like they summarize the whole entire movie in 4 minutes.
So yeah. Oh. Yeah. I mean, let me say this. The early Fast and the Furious movies like grew on me in the sense that like those cars look so freaking cool. You know, as I got older, like when I was a kid, I was like, I have cars, whatever. I don't really care. Like as I get older, like I do have an appreciation for like sexy looking, cool looking cars. And you know, some of the action and some of the driving sequences are really well shot, and it's really cool. But you know, of course, I mean, you know, it could be a lot. Who knows? I mean, this might be a lot of fun, but I'm only sending it back because it's just more in your face stuff. So that's why I have to send it back. You know, it's just more of the same shit. Sorry.
We can curse on here. We're adults. So Matt, what are your thoughts about F9?
I'm not watching that. I'm not watching.
So my feelings on this. So I'll give a little bit of perspective on my feelings about Fast and Furious. So I didn't see the first one until like probably a couple years ago. Wow. But when I was younger, I saw Too Fast, Too Furious.
Okay.
Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. And I'm like, I'm not interested in these at all. Sure. And then my brother is a humongous Fast and Furious fan. Of course. Apparently so is my dad. And apparently, like, obviously they were about like drag racing and stuff like that until like the 5th one, when The Rock shows up, and then they become like international like fugitives and are doing like spy stuff. And then this has just been like ballooning out of control. And you throw in like Luke Evans and Jason Statham, and then Jason Statham's a good guy. And the first one that I saw in theaters was actually The Fate of the Furious, which I love puns and dad jokes. That one was too much for me. I'm just like, really? And they tried to make Scott Eastwood into like the next Paul Walker. Kurt Russell's in them as Mr. Nobody. He's pretty funny. But like this has The Rock, as Jason Statham, as Charlize Theron, as the villain in the 8th one, and now the 9th one, John Cena's in it. And apparently Dominic Toretto is like a superhero doing all kinds of stuff. I'm like, this is just some dude who worked on Cars. I feel like this series has completely jumped the shark at this point, and now they're going to space, and I can't make that trip with them. They have to go to space without me. I will be watching this.
Got a little carried away.
I'm not looking forward to it though. I'm at the point where I'm like, this just needs to die.
I mean, you know, Rocky didn't go to space yet. I mean, do we need to see Rocky fight in space?
Rocky's retired. Are
you sure? You sure we don't need Rocky in space?
I'm still waiting for Machete Kills in space.
Yes, I know.
That was promised to me at the end of Machete Kills, and I still haven't been given that.
Oh, no.
So, which is funny because I was writing an article earlier for Scribe Magazine, my Wasteland Vintage Roadshow, and it was for the 40th anniversary of the History of the World Part 1. And I'm still waiting for Part 2 when Jews go to space. So we're still waiting on those things, but we're getting Fast and Furious goes to space, more or less. So, you know, that's where we're at now. But not going to lie, I will greenlight whatever sequels they make of Hobbs and Shaw, because like they actually are like over the top action movie superheroes because it's The Rock and Jason Statham, and I'll watch that any day.
Sure.
So, but anyway, also on the 25th on Netflix, getting The Ice Road.
I'm sorry. Wait, can we go backwards for a second?
Yes.
Every part of me wants to not analyze it, but then another part of me is like, yeah, no, why not? Wait, so who's going into space?
So why
are cultural identities or religious identities going into space?
Oh wait, you've never seen History of the World Part 1 by Mel Brooks? So the joke is there was never supposed to be a sequel. It's a joke. But they had a teaser at the end of the movie for History of the World Part 2, which had Hitler on ice, a Viking funeral, and Jews in space, where they have spaceships shaped like the Star of David, and they're just like blasting away in space. So it's been a running joke for 40 years now because that came out in 1981.
Mel Brooks was ahead of his time. He was making fun of how he probably knew that it was just going to be sequel after sequel.
Well, that's the thing. And then I'm still waiting for Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
The Search for More Money.
So Mel Brooks saw this coming a mile away.
Yeah, totally.
So, because basically, what are sequels but The Search for More Money? See, that's why we're getting the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Subtitle, Search for More Money. But getting to, so Netflix has a new thriller starring Liam Neeson called The Ice Road, from the director of the 2004 Punisher movie. After a remote diamond mine collapses in the far northern regions of Canada, an ice driver leads an impossible rescue mission over a frozen ocean to save the lives of trapped miners despite thawing waters and a threat they never see coming. So, Alex, are you going to be watching The Ice Road starring Liam Neeson?
I'm sorry, man. You know, it's so funny. If it wasn't Liam Neeson, I would have just... So look, I'm going to greenlight it, but if it wasn't Liam Neeson, if it was Tom Hardy or Christian Bale, I'd be like, oh man, that sounds, oh yeah. But because it's Liam Neeson, I'm going in a little skeptical, you know, because he got a little carried away himself.
I think
a little. He's been a carried for years. This man has an AARP card in one hand and an AK in another hand. This guy's wild.
Well said. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I'm hesitant.
I don't
But if
want to say
if it
anything
wasn't
else.
him, I mean, I would have greenlit it right away. You know, it sounds like a good, you know.
What's the irony is like this got my attention because it's a Liam Neeson movie. Like otherwise, it's just like this sounds like some random thriller that's gonna drop on Netflix. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, but it's a Liam Neeson one.
If a thriller is done really well, it's like, whoa, you know, it can be great, you know.
Yeah, but this is from Netflix.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a horse of a different color.
See, now
Okay,
I'm
send
showing
it
my
back.
hand here.
Send it back. That's enough.
Like also the fact that like this is so the director is Jonathan Hensley, who directed The Punisher, but is a writer on Armageddon. The Val Kilmer, the Saint movie, was a writer on Die Hard with a Vengeance. Um,
Wow.
so like he has that kind of feel for it because like this is 100% going to be a cheesy thriller.
Yeah.
I feel like also starring I buried the lead. Lawrence Fishburne's in this one too. So
Oh, damn.
there we
See,
go.
I feel like it could be good. There's some positives here. It's just, you know, because it was it's a Netflix production.
Well, to be fair, I don't know if they produced it or bought it.
Yeah.
So like this could have been this January's Liam Neeson movie, and they're just like, well, we bought it.
I feel like there's too many potentially good things there to just send it right back. So that's why I'm not going to send that one back.
What about you, Matt?
Send it back. No, it doesn't sound interesting. I mean, he tries really, really hard. No one can ever say that he's a bad actor. No one, even when he's in like a movie like what was like Nonstop or something like that, when he's on the plane, like he's not a bad actor, but it's just like I don't know, like it's just like the premises of the stories that he chooses. They're never interesting. They're just never ever interesting. They all seem boring. And I'm not even like afraid of like Netflix. Like if I'm clicking around and I see like that little red N, like I don't get nervous. Like because there's a movie that just came out this year called Oxygen, like a French movie. That was pretty okay. I would actually recommend it to people. Like I'm not gonna say like
that's
you
also
saw
one
it?
of those things where like streaming services are like, oh, foreign films. See, this is an original movie from Netflix.
Yeah.
Because all the streaming services do that. Like, if I had $1 for every time I saw a series on a streaming service that is like, this is a Peacock original, and I'm like, this is from BBC, and it's just like, just in America, we haven't heard about it, so then they sell it for their own. But yes, Oxygen was a really good movie. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, but it's like, so I'm not afraid of Netflix productions, but it's just, or if that was a Netflix production, I don't know. But like, it's just, he's not a draw for me.
Yeah,
he hasn't been a draw for me for a very, very, very long time. If I want to see a Liam Neeson movie, I'll watch Schindler's List, which I think is as old as me. That's it.
93, Matt.
Okay, I'm older. Cool. Okay, but still.
Here's my thoughts. So, like, Liam Neeson is a very, very talented actor, and most of the time he elevates these thrillers that he winds up being in. But, like, yes, he's been doing this since Taken. Like,
yeah,
Taken.
That was the portal to like mainstream, big contract money. Like, I don't know, maybe he remarried, you buy another house, you know.
Well, here's the thing.
He's remarried.
Taken was supposed to be a straight to DVD, just throw it out there movie. And they're like, you know what? Let's throw it in theaters. And then bam! Like Taken becomes such a huge hit, like 100% because of Liam Neeson. If you take Liam Neeson out of that movie
and put in Nicolas Cage,
like Bruce Willis or something, like that
Bruce
movie
Willis
would not have
slept through it. So
forget about it.
That's the thing. That's the difference between Liam Neeson and Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, when he's in something and he doesn't think it's going to be good, he just like doesn't even try. You have Liam Neeson. He's trying in like
Yeah.
every movie, and at least you'll get some enjoyment out of him. I think The Gray is really underrated because people just wrote it off as like Taken with Wolves, but it's really not.
Taken with
I want to see
Nonstop,
that movie.
nonstop taken on a plane. Yeah, The Commuter taken on a train. Yeah, but like some of these other ones, like I even watched The Marksman that came out in theaters in January that honestly felt like it was a Clint Eastwood movie, but like they couldn't get Clint Eastwood, so they just got Liam Neeson instead. It actually felt like it was directed by Clint Eastwood too. But besides that point, I'm greenlighting The Ice Road because I enjoy seeing what Liam Neeson comes out with next. It's not quite the same morbid curiosity that I have whenever I see Nick Cage in something. And I'm like, Nick Cage is in this. At least I'm gonna get something crazy out of this. So
Yeah.
you have that kind of thing. And the last one that I'm gonna go over, which I won't say anything about how I feel about this because I did screen this already. This is called Werewolves Within, and this is a horror comedy. It's a adaptation of a video game about a werewolf tormenting a small mountain town. And this is starring Sam Richardson, who has been on like Veep and was in things like We Are the Millers and Mike and Dave, stuff like that. And it's about a town. Sam Richardson becomes the new like ranger in the town, and all of a sudden people start getting killed in like really brutal ways. And this strange town of people have to figure out, is there a werewolf about? Something weird happening in this town? But Alex, are you greenlighting Werewolves Within?
That actually sounds like a lot of fun. I have to admit. Yeah. So I mean, I'm only going to greenlight it because it sounds like that'd be a fun movie to watch with a group of friends, watch with the date, you know. Definitely some beers with that one for me, but it would still be horror comedy I can get into. Straight up horror, not always. But
How about you, Matt?
What is it called?
Werewolves Within.
Yeah, I'm down for it. I like werewolf movies. I don't know why. It was a really good werewolf movie, Ginger Snaps. I recommend that to you guys. Actually, Alex, you might not like it. That's just horror.
straight up horror.
I am putting it on my watch list.
Ginger Snaps. But yeah.
If it's sci-fi horror, that's one thing, but just straight up horror, nightmare.
Don't put ghosts in it. Like, at least from what I can tell, Alex, if you put ghosts in it, it's a no-go for Alex.
It's a no fucking go for Al. Sorry, just
no ghosts. So I can't say much, but I low-key love this movie. This was so much fun. And this might be the best video game adaptation ever. I know that's not saying much because most of them are crap. But and the weirdest thing is this is based off of a VR game where it's like, have you ever played the game Mafia? Where like you have to figure out who's like the mafia person in like a group of friends. Or like, have you ever played Among Us? So this is basically Among Us, except you need to figure out who's the werewolf kind of thing. So like, it's a loose adaptation of this game, but like, I don't care. I've never played the game, but I had so much fun watching this movie. This is debuting at Tribeca Film Festival. So like, you should all go see it and show it some love when this comes out. But that's all I'm going to say because I can't do a full review and release it at this point. So, but yeah, so there we are. Those are, we went through, we had an interesting batch of movies to go over this time around. Some seemingly mindless action movies to go over and maybe go into space. But now we're going to shift gears to our topic, which I wonder if any of these directors have made movies about going to space. But we'll talk about that. So we wanted to talk about some underappreciated directors. And I feel like this kind of came up because we actually had a movie night in person together, which was really exciting. And we watched The Fly. And like Cronenberg and Lynch, I feel like, are those two directors that are so very them that like if you vibe with them, you vibe with them. If you don't vibe with them, you don't vibe with them. And they've kind of just been doing their own thing for decades, like in the background. And like if you're like a super cinephile, people are like, oh my God, David Lynch, like Mulholland Drive, Blue Velvet. And then Cronenberg, you have The Fly, Videodrome. I really like his trilogy that he did with Viggo Mortensen that are much more like human kind of stories instead of crazy science fiction as well, with History of Violence, Eastern Promises, and A Dangerous Method. But like that kind of sparked this. Who are some of those directors that we feel like don't get enough attention? Now, Alex, if you want to go ahead with some of the ones that you were like, do I include them kind of thing?
Sure. It's the ones I was hesitant. And the reason I was hesitant was because some of them, one of them in particular is underrated maybe by the masses, but is like looked at as just as good as Spielberg by people who have gotten into film and directed movies. And so the first one was was Brian De Palma, because he did these big movies like Scarface and Mission Impossible, but he also did these. What's that? Oh, The Untouchables. Right. So he's done these, the first Carrie. These are not movies that were underrated. I mean, he kind of has that auteur director thing, but then he's also done movies like he did a movie mostly in his neighborhood, in his front yard with John Lithgow that was really, really good and really, really low budget. Like it feels like a Hitchcock movie. And I forget what the name of it off the top of my head. And then he also did Blowout with John Travolta, which a lot of people don't watch. A lot of people haven't seen, but like Tarantino has 1,000 interviews where he's like, Blowout, you got to see Blowout. So that's why I was like, I'm not going to put him on the list, only because depending on who you talk to, he's overrated, not underrated.
Well, it's interesting because like I watched his last film, Domino, that had I can't say his name. Jamie Lannister from Game of Thrones. Nikolaj Coster-Waldau. He had like the Black Dahlia, Femme Fatale. I remember watching that randomly when I was way too young, and I saw that on TV, and I'm like,
yeah,
what's this?
Holy crap. Yeah.
Mission to Mars, but like he had Mission Impossible, Carlito's Way.
Right.
I love The Untouchables. That's one of my top 25 favorite films of all time. One thing I will admit is I hate Scarface.
Why?
Interesting.
I hate that movie. Like I watch that, I'm just like, it's so in your face, and I hate everybody in it so much that it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't enjoy watching this. And also like watching Al Pacino in 2021 acting like a Cuban in the most like obnoxious way possible is a little weird. Just a little. But I'm not a huge fan of Scarface. Maybe I'll rewatch it, but like the last time I watched that in like high school, I'm just like, nope, I don't like this one.
It's so weird because it started so many people have it as like it's like Rocky to some people. Like
Poster on the wall.
Yeah, the posters and the it's so many artists reference it in songs, and it's
Grand Theft Auto, Vice City.
Yeah, the whole video game doesn't exist if you take Scarface away, I think. You
have the song Jack Sparrow by Lonely Island.
Oh Jesus.
Where Michael Bolton's like, I'm Tony Montana snorting mountains of cocaine.
Amazing. I love that. That was a great reference.
I love that song so much.
Yeah, but that so I bring him up just because of that. He's had underrated works, and I agree. I think he's had overrated works too. So that's why he's not one of my guys. Sorry, go ahead, Shane.
Well, I was just gonna say he is an auteur, and he is a fantastic director. And it's very interesting because he is the underappreciated one among his peers, because like he was a peer of Scorsese, he's a peer of Lucas and Coppola and Spielberg and like that whole entire generation of directors, especially Scorsese, because like more or less De Palma is like Scorsese. He does a lot of similar type projects. Obviously he's going a little bit outside the box with things like Carrie, which I don't imagine seeing Scorsese do a horror movie.
No,
but like
not like that. Not like that.
No.
Not like that.
But like I would agree De Palma probably doesn't get enough attention for the amount of craft that he puts into his movies, especially because he is overshadowed by a lot of his peers.
Yeah, there is something original about what he does, and I still need to watch more Hitchcock. I've only seen a couple of Hitchcock films, and he says, look, I just took a lot of stuff I learned from Hitchcock and I just made it my own. So he's pretty honest about that. But he's a very unique director. There's something very unique about some jaw dropping. I say I don't like horror, but holy shit, like his movies have a lot of elements of like mind, messes up your mind. So he's in my honorable mentions. The other guys I'll run through, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, because he's only directed one feature-length film, Don John, which I thought, I don't know, I think it's garnered more attention now, but I think when it came out, I think it was pretty underrated. I think, I especially the end of that film, with the scene with Julianne Moore, and he takes the bath as she runs her fingers through his head. There's something really special about that sequence, and there was an authenticity about it, and I was like, man, I hope he makes more movies. Like I saw the director that he was going to become in that scene if he kept directing, and but I think that's the other thing. Being a director is really hard. It's hard to make a good movie. And he's only done one. And so that's why he's not in the lists. He's more of an honorable mention in that sense. But I think that's a great film.
I love Don John. I saw that in theaters and was blown away. And one of my favorite depictions of Italian parents in any movie. Oh my God, Tony Danza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are you doing, John? You upsetting your mother.
No, I know people like that, man. I know a lot of people like that. It's just like, it's funny.
Like, I look like a grandmother, but do I have grandchildren? I'm just like, oh my God, Italian families. And like this, and Brie Larson.
Oh boy. Yeah.
To the side. So I definitely appreciate that. He took a break from just Hollywood in general, but he's back now. He was in Trial of the Chicago 7. I'm looking forward to seeing more stuff that he does.
Yeah, totally. No, I like him. I think he's cool. He's really cool. And then the last honorable mention was just Ben Affleck. I don't like everything he's done, but I thought, The Town and Gone Baby Gone were both very good films. I don't know if they're great films, but they were good. And he isn't direct. It doesn't seem like he's directing anymore, but I was like, wow. I was just surprised at how good he was, because actor turning director is a really difficult transition to make. So,
well, also with the track record that like Ben Affleck isn't like the greatest of actors. Like he's definitely had some high points. He's also had some horribly low points.
Yeah.
Like Gone Baby Gone and The Town and Argo. Like Argo is really intense. Like I remember sitting in a theater watching that and just being like, I was white knuckling during the finale of that movie. I'm like, oh my God, are they going to get on this plane? And then Fly By Night kind of railroaded things.
Okay.
And what even worse railroaded things was the like complete just fall of like DC. like the organization of putting DC movies together, because he was supposed to direct the Batman. He was supposed to have his own Batman movie where he was Batman and he was going head to head with Deathstroke. And then he went into rehab and Justice League happened with all that craziness happening. It all kind of fell to pieces. And they're like, sorry, Ben Affleck, Matt Reeves, come on down. Let's make your Batman movie. Which I'm not going to complain about because I'm super excited about Matt Reeves, the Batman. But like, I think he had a lot of personal things to figure out, Ben Affleck. So like, maybe he'll get back in the director's seat. Like he came back with the Way Back. That was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Because apparently I was very personal.
Oh, absolutely.
Watching him in that. But now, Matt, what are some of your picks?
Yeah. So my honorable mentions, I'll go first. Jonah Hill. I think that he needs to make more. I've seen that movie multiple times. I know like some people only love mid-90s, but I like it for so many reasons, because his attention to detail of how much he was very, very specific with the songs that he put in it. He was very specific with the like the fashion, like the sneakers and the references that he put in it. There's even some times where the camera would like go past the main character's older brother's I guess like cassette collection, and then you would see, and then if you pause it, like you actually see like some pretty interesting, I think like I don't know, like West Coast artists, mostly hip hop. I just really like that. It was fantastic. I'm not even a skater, and I think that movie is just great. I thought. And I think he wrote it too, right? Yeah, I'm almost positive he wrote it himself as well. So I think that he needs to put out more content. I know he has a couple of things on his IMDb that are on the horizon, but none of that stuff really seems all that interesting. I just want him just to do more, put more content out there. I know, Alex, you said that was, I think you said that mid-90s was better than Pulp Fiction for you. You said it right?
Well, okay, so I'm glad you said that. So I saw the last 15 minutes of that movie again, and watching on TV. I forget it with HBO or Showtime, whatever. It reminded me of a lot of what you were just saying. He really did get the authenticity of the style and the world at that time, but he also got the energy of the way people spoke to one another. And I mean, I didn't grow up in California, but you didn't have to. Like, I remember the way kids spoke to one another. I'm assuming it's a little bit different these days. It has to be with the way technology is, but
Do kids even talk to each other anymore?
Yeah. But there's kids were dicks, and but there was a brotherhood there, especially that the last shot when they're all together in the hospital room. There's something really sweet about it. So that's a movie I want to watch again. And I think one of the earlier episodes I had said like, I think maybe because, maybe it just felt, it was so real, but it was like, it was like a slice of life movie that didn't feel, how do you say, what am I looking for?
Was it like too surreal, or was it like it was almost, or was it kind of just like a exercise in just like beating the main character?
I think that was my criticism. Was it felt like it was this character study of this little boy who is surrounded by like pain and aggressiveness, but obviously that's what it is. That's what it was for him, and I think a lot of kids. And so I guess I went walking away from. I remember I watched it with my mother, and she hated it. And I remember saying to her, I didn't hate it. Like there's something very special about it. And so that's why I definitely I want to watch that one again from start. He definitely got the I agree. He definitely got the authenticity. So.
I want to rewatch it too, because I really liked it. When I watched it, I was really impressed. Like, I remember sitting in the theater being like, dang, Jonah Hill, Like,
Yeah.
I think after a while, some of the kids got on my nerves. But the thing is, as a kid, I was a very shut-in kid. So don't know how many of those conversations I had with kids growing up in the 90s. So like maybe I just didn't have enough experience talking to kids when I was a kid in the 90s to be like, because some of them just like, these kids are so stupid. The kids, you really sound like this. And then when you really think about them, like, dang, kids kind of do sound.
I remember, I remember the way kids looked at each other, treated each other, it was
Little shit.
Fuck shit. Yeah.
Matt, do you have any other honorable mentions?
Yeah. I got three more, so I can just actually I got yeah, all right. So I'll go Josh Trank, because even if people say that they don't like Capone or they don't like, I haven't seen Capone. I don't really want to see Capone. I don't know, I just didn't want to see it. But even if you say you don't like that movie or you don't like the Fantastic Four, and everyone has seen the clips, even if you haven't seen the whole movie, I didn't see that, didn't really want to. But man, oh man,
everybody's issue.
Yeah. But when you rewatch Chronicle, and then like, which is was like a really cool companion piece to Akira, which is like an 80s anime movie. It has like a lot of similar stuff with like teenagers with like, I don't know, like telekinetic powers and stuff. But I don't know, that's just an awesome movie. Chronicle is so cool, and it's like a certain kind of cool that feels very different. Like really, really, really different. I don't know. I hope he gets more stuff. I know there's a lot of talk from him about like studio interference with Fantastic Four, and I forget he said something about, I think he had some kind of reaction about people's reaction to Capone. I forget, but I just thought the movie's fantastic. He needs to make more stuff. Lee Daniels has a filmography that is just basement for me. For a lot of reasons. But when you watch the movie Precious, and like, it blows you away. There is no doubt in my mind that like Monique deserved her Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. She has two monologues in that movie, where she's screaming and angry, and one where she's just really raw, and like her makeup is messed up, and she's stuttering, and it's just fantastic. The whole damn movie is fantastic. I don't know when the hell he's gonna wake up, but he needs to wake up and then come back. And then the last one is Antoine Fuqua.
Oh,
This
wow.
guy made Training Day and Southpaw. I don't know where his head has been, or he needs to A, make more stuff, and then B, make stuff that I want to specifically see.
So I just watched Infinite, his new film that came out on Paramount Plus this week.
I don't even want to see that. Yeah.
No,
like, it wasn't good.
It was no.
Really?
So I'm going to quote my own review. So I started my review by saying this. So at one point, Mark Wahlberg is asked to basically be waterboarded. And his response is, I have some feelings about being drowned. And when asked, what are those feelings? He said, I don't like it. And then my response was, that's funny because I feel some of those ways about this movie. It was like, I don't know. Like, that movie's 90% exposition with a couple of fun action scenes and Chiwetel Ejiofor doing something interesting. But like, Mark Wahlberg's so boring. And just, but I really like the first Equalizer. I think that's a really solid action thriller with Denzel. I really enjoy the the Magnificent Seven remake. I don't think it's as good as the original Western, and by no means Seven Samurai, like not even in the same conversation, but like I enjoy them. But yes, I agree. Anton Fuqua has made some really strong movies, and then it's kind of just like, kind
And
of.
it's easy to forget that he made like the strong ones too, because kind of like Lee Daniels, like, oh wait, the guy that made The Butler did Precious, like,
Oh, I remember The Butler. It's interesting. Like, I don't know. Some directors have like a couple of great movies in them, and that might be it. But like, I will keep seeing what Anton Fuqua has to make because I feel like he has something else in him. Infinite just wasn't it. That's probably my least favorite movie that I've seen of his that he directed. Would not recommend.
Yeah.
But also Mark Wahlberg is like never a draw for me anyway, like ever. I
I
don't actively avoid his movies, but it's kind of, it's like a Neeson, like Liam Neeson thing. It's like,
Yeah.
he's not a draw for me, but there's sometimes I really enjoy Mark Wahlberg, like The Departed. I think they wrote a role that really worked for him. The other guys, I thought he was perfect for that because he wasn't taking himself too seriously, and him and Will Ferrell were great. Like, I think he's fine in like The Italian Job and
Yeah.
um
The
I
Fighter. I got to give him some credit for The Fighter.
yes.
He worked
what
his
was the
ass
Boston
off.
Bomber movie when he was like a
Oh,
cop or something?
Patriots Day.
Okay, so that was fantastic.
You know what?
Surprisingly.
You know what? Mark Wahlberg does his best work in Peter Berg movies that are based on real life. 21 Blocks or whatever the hell that was. No. But like Deepwater Horizon, Patriots Day, Lone Survivor, that stuff really works for me. And I feel like Peter Berg really gets something out of Mark Wahlberg. But in general, I'm not going to be like, oh, Mark Wahlberg's in the movie. I'm seeing that kind of thing. But any other honorable mentions, Matt?
No, that's it. Everybody
Okay.
else, I just like everybody else.
Because how many do you have?
I got uno, dos, tres más, three more.
You have three more. So give one of them because I only have three. So then at least that way you'll do your number three, I'll do my number three, and then Alex will start with his like two, and then we could at least get through the rest of them. So who's your what's one of your three that you want to talk about, Matt?
Yeah, sure. Okay, there's this guy named Cary Fukunaga. I think he's fantastic. I think he needs way more work. When I like Wikipedia his filmography, it's like you've been in this like film field for like how many years, and this is all you've been able to put out. Like what? And I'm not even like knocking him. Like he wanted to do like many things. The biggest thing that he wanted, and then it got kind of then got rocky. Then he kind of got like the boot or amicable. I don't know. Was the It movie the first one? But I think he only has like a writing credit. He was supposed to direct that, but he has made one of his first movies called Sin Nombre, which is just this fantastic movie about like just Latinx gangs, and they're just really and just having to like survive that. It reminded me of I really like a few movies like Menace to Society or Boys in the Hood or or like maybe like Our City of God. Just like the underbelly and then having to deal with that stuff, and all the acting is really awesome and fantastic. He did a lot of directing for the first season episodes of True Detective, which was everyone talks about that first season as fantastic because it was fantastic.
Wow.
He did he's gonna do, I think it's No Time to Die.
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh,
He's gonna do No
yes.
Time to Die, so I'm excited about that. And then he also did a Netflix movie, which I've only ever seen once, but I keep telling myself I need to watch it again because it's one of those, because I don't really always care too much about cinematography, but when I do, like I have to see something that I really haven't seen before. There's this scene in Beast of No Nation where like you see it's just like this one take, really awesome shot of this boy, because the whole movie is about child soldiers, this boy that's like going through like trenches, and you see, I don't even know how like the production, I don't know how people make movies sometimes. Was just like, how do you do, how much time and effort went into a shot that was only 2 minutes long? That's wild, but it was just, it's just a fantastic movie. So Cary Fukunaga, please work more, but also please don't jump onto like, don't turn into, who were you talking about earlier that who's, oh, like Neeson, like please don't let No Time to Die be your Taken. Like go back to small stuff. Come back. You had a good time. All right, you made some money, made rent. All right, come back.
That's such a it's an interesting thing to bring up. Well, real quick, Beast and No Nation's finally getting a Criterion Collection release.
Ooh.
So I'm buying that one. But it's an interesting thing that you bring up, Matt, because this happens a lot. You have like a really great like couple of indie movies or like one great indie movie, and then you're like, big blockbuster, here you go. And sometimes you just wish that some of those directors went back and did some of their own things. I think the one that pulls me back and forth so much right now is Taika Waititi, because like I love Thor Ragnarok. I'm sure I'm gonna love Thor Love and Thunder. I love his episode of The Mandalorian, and I'm probably gonna love his Star Wars movie. And if he finally makes Akira, it's probably gonna be great. But on some level, I kind of want him to make more Jojo Rabbits and Hunt for the Wilder People and What We Do in the Shadows kind of stuff. That it's not like $200 million movies. It's an interesting dynamic where it's like sometimes it's like that happened with Josh Trank. I think they saw Chronicle and were just like, let's throw it up on doing Fantastic Four, and then bam. So it's interesting because like, yeah, Cary Fukunaga could turn into like, okay, he did James Bond, let's just give him all big budget movies from now on. But it's interesting. It's an interesting to talk about. Might be a topic that we could talk about on the show more in depth.
Right. Yeah.
There we go.
Definitely.
Definitely agree. I really like him. And season 1 of True Detective, holy crap.
Still need to see that. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Can't see everything. That's what I tell people when they are like, you haven't seen a movie? I'm like, how many movies there are, people? Like, I just watched The Crow for the first time yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I watched Boys in the Hood for the first time yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And I'm literally in the middle of watching Menace to Society.
Oh, damn.
Which, like...
Whoa. Also, two of those movies go together. One does not at all, but awesome movies.
I loved Boys in the Hood. Like, watching that yesterday, I'm like...
Yeah.
We need more Lawrence Fishburne characters.
Yeah.
He was definitely my favorite character in the movie.
John Singleton was another one that I had in mind. You know, I think people forget how good he was.
He was 24 when he directed Boys in the Hood, and then he passed away and he was barely 50 something.
Yeah.
Makes me really sad. This is an interesting segue because we're talking about a director who died way too young to talking about a director who's literally 91 years old. And still going. Well, I guess kind of. He's coming out of retirement, but like this was my one that's like the most well-known, I feel like, is Richard Donner.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because the thing is, this is the man who directed The Omen. Like that was like his first big movie, was directing The Omen. Because like he did a ton of television for like years.
Yeah.
And then like dude was 45 when he directed The Omen. Wow. And then he did Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And then long before we had the Snyder cut, we had the Donner cut of Superman 2, which I love the Donner cut. I honestly can't even remember the last time I watched the real version of Superman 2.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of I skipped that. I don't watch that one anymore. You know.
It's good, but the same thing's going to happen to the theatrical release of Justice League probably. The
Right.
Goonies, which like nobody's going to say the Goonies is like world's greatest cinema, but like the Goonies is a lot of fun, and growing up on that as a kid.
Oh yeah, people still talk about the Goonies. Yeah.
There's one movie here that I haven't seen looking through his stuff, Lady Hawk. And I wanted to bring this up because it has Rucker Hauer in a mid-'80s fantasy movie.
I still need to see that.
I might have to check that out. He did Cyndi Lauper music videos. He did Scrooged, which I just watched for the first time recently with Bill Murray. And then he did all 4 Lethal Weapons.
He did all 4?
All 4.
Holy moly. I did not know that.
That doesn't happen a lot anymore. Where like a director sticks with a franchise. And the thing is, he's coming out of retirement, allegedly, to make Lethal Weapon 5. So
okay, well, I'm not so sure that's a good idea, but
I don't think it's a good idea, but I will see it because I can't resist. Like, I love Lethal Weapon so much. I can't resist watching Murtaugh and Riggs go more time. And the dude's 90 something.
Damn.
Him and Clint Eastwood. Obviously, Clint works a lot more than Richard Donner because Richard Donner hasn't released a film since 2006 with 16 blocks that had Bruce Willis in it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, dude's coming out of retirement at 91 years old to make one last movie, apparently. But I feel like Richard Donner doesn't get a whole lot of credit. Like, most of his movies are pretty well known, well received. They're not like the greatest movies of all time, but like, there's something special about Superman. The Omen was like, obviously The Exorcist started it, but like The Omen's another real equality addition to like that crazy 70s kind of scare of horror movies. And like Lethal Weapon is arguably the greatest buddy cop movie ever made. And written by Shane Black. And then Shane Black.
That's incorrect. That Cop Out is the best movie, buddy cop of all time.
No.
Do you think Bruce Willis would say that? Or Kevin Smith, for that matter?
Oh, man.
Bruce Willis would tell you to get out of his face.
But so Richard Donner is one of my picks because, like, I think
so he directed which Shane Black? Oh, Lethal Weapon was Shane Black. That's right. Yeah, that's what made Shane Black's career.
Yep. And him popping up in Predator.
Right.
I don't have time to bleed.
It's like, sorry,
yes,
that wasn't Arnold who said that. That was Jesse the Body Ventura. Ain't got time to bleed.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's like,
still give it to Arnold anyway because they don't talk about the other guy ever.
Are you kidding me? Like, Jesse the Body Ventura in Predator is a sexual tyrannosaur.
Oh my god.
Hey,
oh my god.
Because it's Shane Black who's like, hey Blaine, you're bleeding. He's like, ain't got time to bleed. Keep going.
That's that sounds just like my dad. Oh my god.
And then you got
my dad.
Dylan, you son of a bitch. What's the CIA having you pushing too many pencils? Like that, like hand thing like this is like one of the most manly macho things in the history of film ever.
So wait, did Donner direct Predator?
No, we just got off on a tangent because of Shane Black. John McTiernan, though.
John McTiernan directed Predator.
I kind of want to put John McTiernan on here because between Hunt for Red October, Die Hard, and Predator, like, he's on like house arrest or something. Because like,
for what?
I have to double check. I think he might have put a hit out on a business partner. Kind of.
Wow.
So like
LA.
These
LA
are your
stories.
Heroes? This is your hero?
Matt, well, we could have here's another conversation we could have on the show, separating the art from the artist. Because like I love John McTiernan movies,
It's like the one plot in Amores Perros. Holy crap!
Kinda. But yes, so Richard Donner, Alex, who was one of your two that you had?
One of my two. Well, okay. I'm gonna sound like this one is kind of a little controversial, and it's big time into like we're going back 40 years, over 40 years. So I got Michael Camino is the first one. And the reason why is because I've never seen Heaven's Gate, but that destroyed his career. And everyone, you talk with anybody, that came out 6 years before I was born, almost 10 years before you guys were born. But yes, the Deer Hunter, obviously. He did a movie before the Deer Hunter called Thunderbolt and Lightfoot with a young Jeff Bridges
and Clint Eastwood.
And I really enjoyed it. I saw it in Tarantino's theater. I think it was one of the first movies I saw in Tarantino's theater. And I freaking loved it. Oh, do you have it? Do you have that movie?
I'm checking. I think it's on my to buy list because I watched it some point during COVID, and I'm like, why haven't I seen this before? I love Jeff Bridges. I love Clint Eastwood.
And Michael Camino, I think it was one of his first features. And it's just a fun movie. It's not a movie you have to take too seriously. But the reason I put him on here is because, yes, he does that. He does Deer Hunter, and everybody knows of Deer Hunter, even if you haven't seen it. He also did a movie with Mickey Rourke called The Year of the Dragon. And Oliver Stone co-wrote the screenplay with him. Have either of you guys seen that film?
I have not.
Okay. That movie is freaking awesome. Love it. It wouldn't get made today because a lot of people would see some of it as misogynistic, some of the way they treat some of the female characters. They're not submissive characters. They're independent women, but they just get pushed around, the violence in it, the action in it. Mickey Rourke is fantastic in it. Mickey Rourke was still Mickey Rourke, like he was still in his prime. And it's a really good cutthroat, action movie. Of course, it's Oliver Stone, so there's a little bit of a political slant before he got really political, And so, so that's why I put Michael Camino, because he got trapped. Because after that, even though he made what I think is a very good movie in The Year of the Dragon, I don't think he ever recovered from it. So that's why he was the guy I put on there.
Yes, Heaven's Gate, 1980, 3 hours and 39 minutes.
Yeah,
my God.
It was like the Titanic of movies. Like it just crashed and burned. It costs, at the time, it was like the biggest budget movie ever put together, and it was terrible.
I also see he did another film after the Year of Dragon called The Sicilian, which is based off of a Mario Puzo novel, starring Christopher Lambert as Salvatore Giuliano. And I'm like, what's
that name?
What's with this Frenchman playing, because he was in Highlander and in this. Oh, right. Hollywood. So interesting.
I saw that one too. And I got my suspicion was, for some reason, they couldn't get Mickey Rourke. I had a suspicion, and I could be completely wrong about that, but that was my suspicion when I watched. That movie's not as good. That movie's not so good. So he's underrated, but I think that he fell apart. He's underrated in the sense, I think he did some good movies. And so instead of the director getting Michael Camino, he did some really good stuff. He was that director. He had the potential to be. he had the potential to be Francis Ford Coppola, Scorsese, a Tarantino. He had that potential, and he just crashed.
Well, you know what's interesting though? He might have more in common with Francis Ford Coppola than
Yeah,
you might actually think about it. Because
true.
Apocalypse
Yeah.
Now, like I think Apocalypse Now destroyed Francis Ford Coppola because
Yeah.
there are very few films that he did that were really strong films after that. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. Sometimes one film can do that to you. But Thunder and Light.
Yeah.
That was his
Thunderbolt.
first film. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot's his first film, and then The Deer Hunter, and then Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
So, but it's a very interesting study of what one film could possibly do to somebody's career. We even talked about a couple of directors, like Josh Trank looks so promising, and then bam, that whole Fantastic Four thing. I was thinking about what's his face, who directed District 9 and Elysium and Chappie. Neil Blomkamp, who has a new movie coming out, which I'm going in with an open mind, but I enjoy Elysium. I hate Chappie. That movie makes me angry. Watching, I remember watching that in the theater, but District 9 got nominated for Best Picture. And and he was supposed to do what, Halo?
Yeah.
And
the Alien movie?
That Alien movie, but then Ridley Scott's like, sorry, Neil, I'm coming back. Thank you.
The concept art for that looked weird and bad, but not bad. Like Sigourney Weaver had like a pilot helmet that was shaped like a xenomorph.
Would have been an interesting go. They were bringing Michael Biehn back at least, but
it's bad.
So Matt, who's this? What's your second main director you wanted to talk about?
So I mean, this person isn't exactly underrated, sort of, kind of, but I still want this person just to do more stuff. So this guy's name is Thomas Alfredson. So he directed Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but then which is a movie, but then and he's done some other things, but my favorite of his is a movie called Let the Right One In, which I think is a fantastic just a horror movie, but it's about vampires, and it got released when Twilight was at the height of its powers, and it's like, oh wait, so there's this movie with teenager vampires, but it's a foreign language movie and it's taken incredibly seriously. Interesting. Okay, and it's not meant for teenagers. It's a very dark adult movie. It's set in the snow and desolation, and yeah, fantastic. Yes, fantastic. Where's mine?
Right one in.
3, 2.
So the reason that I know of this movie is because Matt did a back-to-back double feature in Film Club of that and The Devil's Backbone from Guillermo del Toro.
Also, if you want to know a fun, I don't know if you guys know this. So I went through my whole DVD collection and I noticed wow, I have a lot of doubles, or I want to get the Criterion version of some of the movies that I want, that I have already, or some movies I just don't like. So I had this, I don't know, 10 DVDs. I called the random exchange store, and they were like, no, sorry, we don't take it. So I was like, okay, so where can I go then? Just give us a Goodwill. You can take your DVDs and just donate it. And they're like, yeah, please, totally, thank you so much. Definitely, don't throw them away. Don't do it. Yeah, who throws away DVDs? But yeah, Goodwill, really awesome. But yeah, I hope he does more stuff. Friends. Say what?
I just give them for my friends, right, Matt?
I still have your your Interstellar in my living room. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so good movie. I recommend it to people. He he just needs more work. I think he's underrated in the sense where it's like people like those movies, and Tinker Tailor was like star-studded. So like he's not underrated in the sense that people don't like him, but I think he makes good movies. He's liked, but he doesn't make enough, in my opinion, or he's not given enough opportunity to.
Well,
I don't know.
to be fair, I don't think enough people know about Let the Right One In, so yes. And also, he did The Snowman.
And that happened too.
Which that movie turned out to be like a shit show. So I think that might have derailed things. But that was 6 years after Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. So he's like not in a hurry to do a lot of films. So my next pick is somebody that I'm a huge fan of. And I think a decent amount of people have probably seen some of his work, but he's definitely like flying under the radar. And it's S. Craig Zahler, who has 3 director credits to him, which are Bone Tomahawk, Brawl in Cell Block 99, and Dragged Across Concrete. And he is very much like, his films feel very much like exploitation kind of films, and like really like raw B kind of movies. Like honestly, a close comparison that I make in my own head is like, he feels like if John Carpenter started directing now. He feel like the films have those kinds of feels, except here's the big difference, where John Carpenter films are generally short and very efficient. These are like Bone Tomahawk's 2 hours, 12 minutes, Brawl in Cell Block 99's 2 hours, 12 minutes, and Dragged Across Concrete's 2 hours and 38 minutes. So he takes time with the films. And like Bone Tomahawk is a horror Western about a group of like cannibal tribe. And like, honestly, some of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in a movie happened in Bone Tomahawk. But like the cat like has Kurt Russell's in it, Richard Jenkins, Matthew Fox, Patrick Wilson, as like this group going to try to find some of the townsfolk who are kidnapped by this particular Native American nation. Brawl in Cell Block 99, Vince Vaughn is a former criminal who winds up he gets dragged back into a mission for a job, and he winds up in prison, and they threaten his pregnant wife. So he has to go like deep into this cell block to try to assassinate somebody. And Vince Vaughn literally pulls a car apart with his bare hands and beats the crap out of people. And this is the first time I realized how intimidating Vince Vaughn is, because the dude's like 6'6".
Yeah.
And like generally he's like a goofball and you don't really think much of him. But like in this movie, like he's scary, and it's very like all the effects are very practical and brutal. These movies are brutal. And then Dragged Across Concrete's a cop drama with Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson as dirty cops who are getting him trying to like get out of their place and things. And they wind up trying to steal money from a bank robbery. And things go sideways. There's a lot of racial issues in the film that get taken into account. It's interesting because like there's some interesting casting. Like Don Johnson's in 2 of them.
Wow.
Like Don Johnson's whole career kind of got like reborn because of Django when his Big Daddy. But like they're interesting films, and I look forward to seeing what he comes out with next. It's called Hug Chicken Penny.
Send it back.
Just based off of the name. But like I think they're really cool films, and he has a very interesting voice and perspective, and he very much feels like he's making films that could have come out in the 70s.
Cool. I mean, when you said John Carpenter, my ears perked up. John Carpenter was one of the people I was thinking about mentioning, but I feel like once again he's in the category of he's in danger of being overrated, not underrated. So I was like, all right, I'll leave that be.
To be fair, his second half of his career hasn't been exactly the most illustrious.
No, he just got to, he just got out of touch. It happens to a lot of directors.
Well, and at least he stopped making movies. He was just like, I think I'm done.
I think so. I think that's the best thing a director can do sometimes.
I think the last one that I saw of his that I really like the most recent one, is In the Mouth of Madness with Sam Neill in it. But then you have like Escape from LA, which CGI.
Oh yeah, TS1.
Yeah, really. Yeah, so now we're down to our last pick. So Alex, who's your last pick that you wanted to talk
I'm really interested in both the last two guys that you guys mentioned. Who I picked, and I've seen two of his films. I don't think he's done that many. Is Derek Cianfrance.
Yes.
Because I loved and still really cherish Place Beyond the Pines. I really cherish that film. I think there's something very special about it. I saw Blue Valentine, which came out before that. It also had Ryan Gosling. I wasn't as crazy about that one, but he definitely has his own vibe and his own approach. And it's a combination of like real and fantasy. There's this feel. It feels like there's this fantastical element, but the characters are very real. A good example of that is the Gosling character in Place Beyond the Pines. It feels like every outcast who didn't feel like they were part of society. The idea of being like a circus motorcyclist who goes around robbing banks. There's a romanticism. He's romanticizing bank robberies, but at the same time, it's incredibly intense and visceral, and it becomes very violent. And so there was something very special about that movie. Gosling, I don't want to ruin it because I think that's a very big piece of it.
Yes.
But let's just say that portion of the movie feels like it was a lot longer in a good way, but it wasn't. It was only really more of a prologue, really, but it was incredible. I haven't seen the movie he did after. He did a movie with Fassbender. I think it's called The Light
Between Oceans.
Yeah.
And I want to rewatch it now because I liked it a lot. There's parts of it that kept me from loving it. But it was Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander, and two very talented actors. It's a very interesting story. And then he did I Know This Much Is True, which is a mini series on HBO with Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, okay, that looked good.
I wasn't giving that enough attention, so I need to go back and rewatch it. But he also did the story and I think wrote some of Sound of Metal.
That's right. Yeah, which I still need to see that.
He didn't wind up directing. I think a friend of his wound up directing the film, but I love Sound of Metal. So that's a great pick. That's a director that definitely has a lot of talent.
Yeah. It's one of those things, and this is an interesting topic because, people say Scorsese movie, Tarantino movie, Spielberg movie, Eastwood, a Clint Eastwood movie, but no one goes a Cianfrance movie. No one goes, the directors you're mentioning, it's like no one goes this movie, So, but it's one of those things. I mean, these people do have a vision and they are talented with what they do. And so, he kind of stood out to me as he has that ability, but he's not directing a lot. He's only directing once every 4 or 5 years or something. And so that's why he doesn't have that name. He doesn't have the name, so.
How about you, Matt? Who's your last one? So during the course of this video, I decided to change it three times actually. So first I wanted to go with Mara McDonough because I think that he puts stuff out there and it gets attention, but I don't think but I feel like it only gets like artsy kind of attention. Like I don't know if many people would talk about
In
what are some of
Bruges.
his movies? In Bruges, Seven Psychopaths, Three Billboards. I don't think anyone's gonna be like just like the regular general person is gonna have that on their shelf. Three Billboards. Actually, that ending of that movie kind of pissed me off too, so I don't have it on my shelf. But then I was like, okay, so no, not him. I was gonna go Yorgos Lanthimos, who did Dog
Martin
2, super
McDonagh.
awesome. Lobster and The Favorite, and then same for same reason. But I'm gonna go just because I've been thinking about it all week, and I've been playing the songs from it all week, and I'm literally gonna watch it tonight. I have like other things I should watch instead because I haven't seen them before, but I'm gonna watch it again. Bo Burnham, he directed Eighth Grade, what, 2 years ago, something like that, three, and it was just a fantastic, fantastic movie. This guy,
You directed that?
Yeah.
yeah, he wrote and directed it. Bo Burnham wrote and directed that. Yeah, fantastic movie. Like he just put out this comedy special.
The internet won't shut up about it.
Yes, Eighth Grade. People are talking about, please, you guys have to just go to YouTube, type in white woman's Instagram.
Oh my God.
White woman's Instagram, or wasting time FaceTiming with my mom. Those are both two.
So
those fingers on the camera.
I have never watched anything related to Bo Burnham except for Eighth Grade and Promising Young Woman. So like I've never watched any of his like YouTube stuff or any of his comedy specials, but like things are just like blowing up for him on Twitter and Instagram after he released this most recent thing that like apparently changed people's lives.
Wow.
This new comedy special.
You got to put it in the group chat after you finish watching Inside. Alex, what did you think of Inside?
I only watched the first like 30, 40 minutes. Those two, I was laughing my ass off.
White woman's Instagram.
Yeah, the white woman's Instagram made me laugh my ass off. The FaceTiming with my mom, they show the entire thing if you just hover over the special on Netflix. And so I couldn't stop watching. It was like, oh my God. It was funny.
Well, what he says, she's boring him because she's explaining the season 6 finale of The Blacklist. That's so specific, but also really relatable. Oh man,
that was good. It was good. Yeah, I didn't know he was a director. I mean, obviously he's got the talent to do it, but I didn't know he directed Eighth Grade. Yeah.
I do want to send some love for Martin McDonagh and Yorgos Lanthimos because I love both those directors a lot. So,
but you feel what I mean? I feel like they don't. I feel like they get love. Like one of them, both of them have like Academy Award winning like stuff out there. Also, McDonagh's brother made The Cavalry, which is a fantastic movie with Brendan Gleeson.
If you haven't seen Cavalry, do yourself a favor and watch Cavalry from John Michael McDonough.
It's a weird movie. Like trigger warning. It's weird. It's not happy, but
no,
it's cool.
This is not your uplifting movie for a Sunday. This is like it's a tough movie, but like the acting and the characters in it are so great. Like, you know what's funny, Matt? Because I think you were the one who's like, I watched this movie and Martin McDonagh directed. I'm like, no, he didn't. I know he didn't direct it, but then I thought more about it. I'm like, it does have that feel. And then we looked it up and it was his brother. I'm like, oh, makes so much sense. So yes. So all of you out there are getting so many recommendations here. You're welcome.
Shane, why don't maybe in the description of the video, maybe you should put some of your username and password to your subscription services. I feel like that would be fair.
That would be illegal. Like, I'm definitely getting banned from all of them, and then I can never watch any of them ever again.
Mickey Mouse would show up to your house and bitch slap you.
Yeah.
Yes. Mickey Mouse will literally like, oh boy, what are you doing? Just like,
Okay, that was actually really good. Oh man.
I just imagine the Mickey Mouse from South Park.
Yeah, I remember.
He'd murder me. Like I'd be dead.
Shane, if you edit this part out and just for a separate video and call it Mickey Mouse bitch slap Shane, you'll get 1,000 views.
And make sure you edit that scream that you did earlier, like an hour ago. What were you screaming about? What was that for?
Oh, Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
So
I like this podcast.
Me too.
Mickey Mouse bitch slaps Kevin Hart would probably get closer to 1 million.
So my last pick. So I was sitting last weekend watching Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. And I had watched it once before. I definitely didn't give it enough attention the first time I watched it. And this is like a beautiful film.
Yeah.
And that summarizes all of Peter Weir's films. So Peter Weir is an Australian director. My second favorite Australian director behind George Miller. And he started his career big with Gallipoli, which is one of the most important films in the history of Australian cinema, starring Mel Gibson and another young actor at the time. This came out like the same year as The Road Warrior, mind you, about the Australian troops fighting in Gallipoli during World War I. And then, boy, does Peter Weir have some amazing films on his resume. Witness, with Harrison Ford going into trying to solve a murder in an Amish society, which got a bunch of Oscar attention. Dead Poet Society.
He directed that?
Yes.
Whoa.
He is a hauntingly beautiful director. And The Truman Show, he also did.
Shit.
And then Master and Commander. Throw in his last film was The Way Back from 2010, which was an Australian film with Jim Sturgis, Ed Harris, Colin Farrell. I haven't seen that one.
Oh, I was thinking of The Way Back. Never mind.
No. This is a Serbian gulag escapees travel 4,000 miles by foot to freedom in India.
No, that's definitely not an awkward teenager spending summer break.
No, with Steve Carell as a really asshole stepdad. Yes, different movie. He had Fearless. I haven't seen that one. Jeff Bridges is in it. It was Bella Rossellini. Movie Green Card with Gerard Depardieu, Annie McDowell. I haven't seen that one either. The Mosquito Coast. Haven't watched it, but did just watch the remake series that's on Apple TV Plus. But he's a really talented director, and 5 of those, between Gallipoli, Witness, Dead Poet Society, Truman Show, and Master and Commander, this dude's an amazing director. He hasn't directed anything in 11 years, but it looks like he has a film called The Keep in development. But I just feel nobody says the name Peter Weir, but how much of an impact has a film like Dead Poet Society made on people? And a film like The Truman Show, which was way before it's because what films came after The Truman Show, like Dark City, The Matrix, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, those kinds of films that mix with your reality. And The Truman Show does it in such a unique and interesting way. And Jim Carrey, though, is so amazing. And Ed Harris as Christoph. And just
Laura Linney and the guy who plays his friend too.
Noah Emmerich, who is in The Americans, which I just finished all 6 seasons of that show. But I love Peter Weir. You should all go check out some of those movies if you haven't seen them.
Yeah, no, dude, I remember Master and Commander. It's funny. You know what? I'm instead, okay, this is boring, but okay, maybe it's not boring. I chose that as Master and Commander for my loans on a website. You know, this is one of those thoughts that you don't say out loud, but for my loans on a website, I chose the logo for a sail ship, you know, with the tagline Master and Commander because of that movie. And that was back when I was in grad school, because I remember that movie came out a long time ago.
It
Uh,
came out in 2003.
oh God, even longer ago. Holy crap!
And
Yeah,
it won 2 Academy Awards, including cinematography, and then
yeah.
got completely destroyed by Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Oh, sure, sure,
So,
totally.
can you imagine if that movie came out in a different year? Because it's like basically
Beautiful.
Mystic River won like almost all of the acting Academy Awards. And then it's funny because I guess I've been irrationally angry at Master and Commander for years because I always thought that Return of the King deserved 12 Academy Awards because it didn't even get nominated for cinematography. And
Oh
I'm like, are
wow.
you kidding me? And then you watch Master and Commander, I'm like,
Ah, yeah.
it's like I can't be mad at it because like it's an amazingly shot film. Basically, any film that Peter Weir directs, the cinematography that goes along with his films is so striking and beautiful. And like this was around the time of like Pirates of the Caribbean, and like that being all fantastical and over the top, and this one being like a true legit like high seas adventure,
Yeah.
like very old school. And that's the thing. Somebody recently tweeted saying like if you ever need to go to sleep just throw on the first 10 minutes of Master and Commander and tweeted at Russell Crowe, and Russell Crowe came at this guy, and I'm like, Russell Crowe is not the kind of person you want pissed off at you, because he would kick the crap out of you, to be perfectly honest, if he had you in front of him. But like he was just like, and then he went on this whole entire tirade about how kids these days can't appreciate like a real mature film that
Mhm.
doesn't need to be throwing stuff at you every 5 seconds.
Right, right.
Because like
Yeah.
watching it, it is a very mature film. It's very like I would not show my kid Master and Commander, but it's like a very refined, mature, adult kind of high seas adventure. Unlike Pirates of the Caribbean, which is like over the top and boisterous and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so yeah,
And
you
we
can
have
all
to
watch.
we have to think, we have to be more integrative in our thinking and our consumption of films and media, you know. We if we want to be adults that we're proud of being in this world. You can watch Indiana Jones and have a good time with it, but you should be able to watch, Schindler's List, on a Tuesday or something. You should be able to. You have to allow your consumption of these things to be integrative. I when I see Fast and Furious on TV, I'll watch a little bit and go, oh man, that's really cool. When I see them going to space, I'm like, I think they got a little carried away, So I think that there's a healthy balance there. And I knew I was going to mention, because I know I did. There's something special about that Master and Commander movie. It isn't the most entertaining movie, but there's something very intimate, and there's a relationship between the captain and I think it's one of his mates that's
Paul
very,
Bettany is the doctor on the ship.
yeah. There's something, and there's the two different roles that they have to play, and the responsibility to their crew, and there's in the leadership. There's something special in that, and it's as we grow older, it's far more relatable than driving a Ferrari in space.
So this is going to be a really weird comparison, so bear with me. It reminded me a lot of what made Lost great. And it's not what made Lost great wasn't the smoke monsters and stuff like that. It's the philosophical differences between Locke and Jack. Because, like, you don't like that, Matt?
It was the smoke monster. It was a smoke monster. It was the polar bear. And it was the others.
Yes. When you can,
I'm kidding, obviously.
Yeah, when you can deeply ingrain thematic and philosophical differences between characters and portray them in a meaningful way, that's exactly what Master and Commander does. Is because, like, Russell Crowe's character is so much order because he is a captain on this ship. It's like borderline fascism. It's like, you will do what I say, and if you get out of line, you will be punished. Like, it's such a very strict kind of setup and order and structure, and that's how those ships work.
Right.
And then you bring this doctor, the scientist, on board who has a very different perspective on what the point of their journey is. It's for exploration. They go to the Galapagos, which is really cool in that film. And you see all the animals and stuff like that. And just the wonder of his discovery of all of these different animals. And when it really comes down to it, he, like, spoiler alerts for some details of this movie, like, he has to leave all those animals behind, all the specimens, because they need to get on a ship to chase down another ship. Because where they're really there is a military mission. And it's that kind of dichotomy so interesting in that film. So I had a whole different appreciation for this movie watching it now than I did, like, 10 years ago when I tried to watch it for the first time, because I don't think I was ready.
Sure. Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes me feel like I was mature when I saw it when I was in high school. So
there you go.
Boom.
But
Hurtful footnote. Boom.
It was dynamite.
That's right.
So we talked about a lot of different things. So all of you should go check out all these recommendations. And I know we have some recommendations ourselves to check out. But
literally, we see this list. You see this?
There you go.
I didn't have any paper, so like I ripped it off of, like, a clothing tag.
Nice. Yes. So I hope we filled up all of your watch lists out there. But thank you for always tuning in and supporting the Development Hell podcast.